Okay. So, hi everyone. Uh, I'm glad that you are here today for this workshop about digital storytelling. And my name is Amani Alkyahat. I'm the TELSIG founder and chair. I'm also an MA student at Columbia University in instructional technology and media. And hopefully I'm going to start my doctoral program at TC Columbia next semester, fall. I'm also a mobile app designer, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I design mobile apps for language learning using scenario-based chatbots, and also gamified applications. Digital storytelling is one of my research interests, especially that I love writing stories and engaging my students in um, telling them stories or simplifying things for them. So stories are very powerful, right? So how come we know about Greek mythology or Egyptology, for example? That was through stories that passed from one generation to another. So stories are very captivating. They make you remember certain elements. They can be used in different ways, and they are engaging. Okay. So digital storytelling is that we use digital tools to tell stories. So we can use images, like digital pictures, text, video clips, music, narration, and so on. And when we do digital storytelling, we look for, of course, we focus on the topic and our own point of views. Um, in terms of platforms and tools, so there are lots of platforms like YouTube, blogs, virtual reality platforms like CoSpaces Ed, for example, augmented reality. The tools can be something like Toontastic, movie editors, and so on. So why do we integrate digital storytelling in the ESL classroom? We integrate it because we need students engaged. So once they start writing a story, they will think of elements like characters, and they will think of, a process, climax, ending of a story. They will activate their cognitive abilities, for example, and this is what we're gonna see. And then once they are working on the story and the story elements, they will also integrate technology. Okay, and of course, working on the story first is more important because this will lead the students to know how to integrate the right technology. And it's also one of the types of project-based learning, because the student, although the student can work on the story by themselves, but they will engage into other activities that will require peer feedback from the teacher, and so on. And it's also, once they finish the story and they do more activities, they will also reflect for deep learning. So I love to support my ideas with research findings. So digital storytelling, they improve the students' understanding. And if we talk about understanding or comprehension, this means Bloom's taxonomy, right? So Bloom's taxonomy, we have the higher or lower order thinking skills, like understanding or knowing, applying, and then higher order thinking skills, which there is the old and the new. So we have analysis, evaluation, and creation, or analysis, evaluation, and synthesis. So if you want to go through the whole process, or like in Bloom's taxonomy, digital storytelling can help the students improve their lower order thinking skills and also higher order thinking skills. Also, the students, the stories that are created by teachers, they can facilitate learning and classroom discussion. So imagine that you are teaching math to ESL students, and instead of doing things like, in terms of a textbook, you can make a story. Like even when you teach your kids, you can bring apples, you can bring whatever, and you make a story. And then he had 5 apples, and one day the magician took one. So how many apples? So you can make it in a term of a story to facilitate learning and also discussions, because when you tell kids a story, they have lots of questions. It's a powerful instructional tool because you can also instill certain concepts or practices. It's also a powerful hook to attract students to their learning. Like, you know, sometimes when we teach essay writing, we tell them that we know you have a hook. So it could be an anecdote, for example. This is one of the things, like quotation, question, and so on. So it could also work as a hook at the beginning of class, for example, something like a warm-up activity a teacher can do to the students. It's also a powerful 21st century tool in which students, they improve their digital literacy. They know more about the digital tools there. Like, for example, I don't remember the name, sorry, but when she said make-believe comics, this is a very powerful tool. Okay, you know how to to choose the characters, and also most probably that most characters have certain poses, so you know how to change it, like from a character that's smiling to a character that's crying, and so on. Enhances collaboration skills, which we're going to know later how it enhances collaboration skills. Okay. Stories also help ELLs. It improves their cognitive abilities. Like, for example, if the students are trying to, so for example, they're trying to write a story, and then there's a problem. So how to solve this problem? Okay. Sometimes maybe in middle school or high schoolers, they are introduced to flat versus round characters, for example. So how can I change the behavior? How can the round character changes their behavior throughout the story? Okay. Digital literacy, as I said it before, ability to concentrate. So as you can see, like, you know, if you embed a story in anything, people tend to concentrate more. They need to know what's going to happen next, what's going to happen in the end. Auditory ability. So the thing is, in terms of auditory, is that you have to change your intonation. For example, when you are recording, you have to act. So this also improves it. Multiple intelligences. So it's not only literacy or a word in terms of intelligence, in terms of, you know, understanding meaning. It could be other stuff. Okay. Critical thinking skills. Like, for example, understanding inferences, implications. And, let's say, for example, that two characters in the same story, they are arguing. So how would the students make valid arguments, not fallacies, inside the story? Creative thinking. What are the creative ideas that they're going to come up with? So when we start writing a story, there are 7 elements of digital storytelling. There are other research papers that introduced more than that, but this is some sort of the basic. So what's your point of view? Okay, what's the perspective of the author? So they are thinking something like the topic and the controlling idea, or something like, you know, when we teach writing, the thesis statement. So what's your point of view? What's the dramatic question? So how do you keep the viewer's attention? So instead of what's going to happen, so whether something is going to happen or not. So you keep the students, you know, intrigued. They are, you know, they need to know what's going to happen throughout the story. Emotional content, so serious issues that come alive in a personal and powerful way. So there has been stories about immigrants. There has been stories about, for example, struggles. And this what brings people to identify themselves, or to to concentrate more or to focus more on the story. So how did this person became successful in overcoming this obstacle? The gift of your voice, ways to personalize story to help audience understand the context. So sometimes, like when I ask the students to write something, I said, I need you to put yourself in the story. It could be a story about you, about someone that you know, because basically they tend to give more information if it's more personalized. If you give them something that I don't know, that does not relate to them, so it tends to be more difficult, and they are not motivated. But maybe this could be the first stages of, you know, doing digital storytelling, and then more on when they practice, they can write about any, or they can write stories about anything. The power of the soundtrack, the music that they're gonna use, and this also relates to pacing. So sometimes we need to change the music depending on the story itself. So maybe the beginning of the story is different from the climax, is different from the ending, and so on. So these are some examples. So basically, this is what I've been just talking about when we were waiting for people to come. And I was talking about Defilm. It used to be called Devolver. And this is one of the stories that my students, thank God that I took some pictures. Now it's no longer there. So basically, you choose the sky, you choose the setting, and also you choose the characters, and then you put the script. And you can also make more than one scene. You choose the music. If you don't want to add music, it's okay. And now it's gone, but they have a one in 3D, which I think it's going to be better, but they're still working on it. Scratch is a block-based programming tool. It's used in high school and middle school too. These are just examples. There are hundreds of examples out there. Voki, who has ever heard of Voki? Voki is an avatar. It's a text-to-speech synthesis tool. And actually, in the past, like in 2009, maybe, I used to have my students, I used to have a wiki that was also gone, that Wikispaces. So in Wikispaces, we used to create the stories, but you can also do that on PBWorks or any other tool, Google Sites. So they used to create the stories. Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, Karen. Okay, that's good. That's great. So Voki, it has limited, actually, it's like limited in text. So you can just put, I don't know how many words, like 200 words. So you can actually mix the avatar with the text. So you can have the avatar introduce the story like a narrator, and then on the website, you can have the students create, put the text and the pictures, for example, and then maybe the avatar can continue narration, and so on. So this was one of the ideas that we used Voki. ThingLink. Okay, so maybe, oops. Okay, so maybe I'll show you ThingLink. So this is ThingLink, but this is not a project. This is just to explain how it works. So this is basically just a picture, okay? You can create your own picture. And then this is one, so you can start with one. You can add text, you can add a video, and then where's two? This is two. This is not a story, this is just an explanation. So the students can create a story, and these are like, this is part one of the story, and this is part two. Okay, this is part three. So they can put images, they can put videos, okay, and that's it. So these are like pins. So while you are creating the story, you add pins to the picture, and then you link the pin to a picture, another picture that will pop up, okay, a text, a video, or anything, a website. But since we are doing digital storytelling a story, so we don't need to add a website unless maybe it's a mystery story and we need to solve something. So maybe you can go to this website. It's a math website. Do these exercises, and then try to figure out. I don't know. Like it could be an idea. Let's see what's. Yeah, I think so. I think so, Daphne. Yeah, I think they can use their own language. There are actually, well, my keyboard doesn't have other languages, like non-Latin languages, but even if they can't, if they don't have this on keyboard, on their computers, they can just go and type virtual something keyboard, virtual Arabic keyboard, virtual French, no, not French, like Chinese, for example, keyboard, and then they can just create it, copy, paste on it, for example, and then put it. I think it accepts all languages. I'd like also to show you Scratch. So okay, so they're going to save the princess. Okay. I just don't want to waste our time. This is a story. My daughter didn't even know how to create Scratch. And if you see inside, I think we can see inside. This is the coding. And actually, didn't take her much time because on Scratch has a database and they can tell you what exactly you can do. And I believe that she could have actually made very few code here. Yeah, but it's really amazing. It's really simple for kids, by the way, to use applications or tools like Scratch. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Toontastic. Toontastic is an animated app, and when you start creating your own story, you can start adding or maybe recording your voice to the characters. So it's really interesting and easy. Okay. So so what's the process of creating digital storytelling? So the students should come up with an idea. Teachers can help them, and then they could research, explore, learn, and then write a script. So for example, they can research about how to write, or maybe the teacher can give them handouts and tell them how to write, how to maybe the teacher can give them like examples of digital stories, and then they should write the script and then the storyboard plan, and they should gather and create images, and they could put it all together and they can share it, and then they would listen to feedback and they reflect on it. But there is also another thing that's very important. So first of all, so before we're talking about the most important thing, so how do they come up with an idea of a story? So they can, for example, talk about an important person in their life, an overcoming obstacle or tragedy, other stories like love, recovery, discovery stories. And then when they start script writing, so this is the beginning of the story, the inciting incident, this is what led to the climax, and then this is the end. And they should look for a resolution. That's why we talked about the cognitive abilities. So they come up with an idea, there was a problem, and so how would they resolve this problem? Okay, so when they make it personal, they would come up with more innovative ideas because the audience would like to know about their perspective. And this is the story arc. Okay. So maybe they can take 10 minutes. So students write whatever ideas come to mind and then consider it. They can also consider it a free writing activity. So we are in the brainstorming process. Just write something that you can maybe, you think of. I don't care about grammar. I don't care about it. This is just free writing. Just keep writing, because free writing would lead you to something that maybe maybe you haven't thought of before. Now, when they finish, you tell them, okay, congratulations, you finished your first draft. It might not be a full-fledged story yet, but at least you have an idea to start with. And while they are working on it, it will become a full-fledged story, because we're going to move them to the second step, which is the story circle. So the story circle is a good technique for students to share their ideas. So once they engage in stories, and actually my students, while I do the story circle with them, I feel that I can relate, or I can see the aha moments. Like the students, other students, they start asking the student who wrote the story, okay, so what happened to you when when this took place? So what were you feeling? What is this, that? And then they have, oh, I remember now. And then she or he starts writing, and it's very engaging. And then they start listening to others. And of course, criticism has to be constructive, positive feedback from peers and their teachers. And it's really, really, really interesting. And it's a very beneficial learning process. So the storyboards, the importance of the storyboard is actually to make them able to organize their ideas. Okay, it's like a graphic organizer, and we might need storyboards. There are lots of things for kids to help them visualize what the story is going to look like. Okay, and also, okay, whether they should put a picture, an image here, what type of music do they want, and of course, this can be in a later webinar. We can talk about Creative Commons, because of course, you can't put any music on your, because of copyrights. So I have created the handout, but I didn't put it here. It has lots of links, but the students can use thinking maps, for example. So these are examples, lots of examples of thinking maps. So the circle map, for example, the tree map. So for classifying, double bubble map, flow map. So what it depends. It depends on what they are writing. Okay, it depends on their point of view. The bridge map, for example, and this is relates to the story arc. In Toontastic, they have 3 and they have 5. So it depends on the type of story that you need them to do. That's the problem. Okay. I also find mind maps or concept maps really interesting. There is a cool app on iPad. It's called Kidspiration for iPads, for iPad. So they can, create lots of stuff in relation to digital storytelling or others. Pupplet. So this is something like Pupplet, where they organize Halloween is, and then they put, and then they could also link stories related to these things that they have linked to the mind map. Mind Up, Mind Master, Bubble.us. I think it was the first one, maybe, because I've been using it like many years ago. So Bubble.us is also one of the best apps, is a peer and Kaggle. And I just want to say something here, because I'm also interested in learner preferences. So visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners. So these things work very well with visual students. So when they visualize things, when they write things, it's like a diagram, for example. this helps them understand what they want to do. When they record their voices, or when they hear feedback from other students, from their peers about their story, this also helps auditory students. Kinesthetic students, they engage into hands-on activities and stuff, so also it also helps them. There are also, this can be narrative story elements matrix. So for example, the student can write the title, the setting, the character's point of view, problem, solution. They can also do this in the circle, in the story circle. So each student would get one like this, and then they would write, okay, so what's your title, the setting, the character's point of view, okay, can you tell us more about it? And then they can note down what they think of the story, and this can be so much helpful for the student in order to determine whether their story is powerful or not. Also, there is the story map, so they can write notes on the setting, time and place, characters, problems, events, resolution. Also, this one is cool, so they should write the setting, important characters, and so on. So these things are interesting for kids, just to visualize things and to order them. This is also another example of a story map. This is for 3 to 5 students. So let me pull this up. Okay, so show, don't tell sentences. So what does your character face look like? What is their body doing? How does your character move? And so on. So this can be, a little practice for elementary students. They can write something, according to their abilities to write stories. Maybe we can expand on it. Okay, so any questions so far? Yeah, I just wanted to show you. So any questions? Okay, so this is, I'm gonna add this. What? Oh, I'm sorry. This is an example of a storyboard. So this is how it looks like. Okay, where students can, put the story. Okay, maybe determine on the images, and then they can receive comments from their peers. Yeah, there is also, okay, have you ever heard of Canva? I think like everybody knows about Canva. So this is also one of the things. It's so easy. It's so easy and good for creating a storyboard. So this is how it goes. Okay, so they do have templates for digital stories. It's like something like prototyping, but it's good for digital stories. And you can also get images from stock images. It's really hard to find free stories, right? Free pictures right now. Okay, this app is really good. Yeah, so you view project. Oh yeah, so you create the project, sorry. So you create the project and you start doing it. Yeah, I've created the project already. and then you start creating the story. It's called Plot, and it's for free. You don't need to pay for it. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to put this down. So one of the things that digital storytelling is very important is that it encompasses lots of skills, tools, and practices that resonates with our learners. So in terms of Bloom's taxonomy, for example, you get to do you get to integrate the lower order thinking skills and the higher order thinking skills together. They create stuff, as you can see. So if you look at Scratch, for example, so they learned something new. These are high school students. Let's go back. And then, so I just wanted you to see this. So she also learned how to make it fly. And there's also another episode, but okay, what is this? This is also Voki. So it's an avatar. Okay, it's for free for educators. And you can teach, like, you can do it in history, you can do it like any other, for any other subject for ESL students. And it's really cool. They can just type whatever they want, and then they can tell like a small story, or they can like have more than one avatar who can tell like the beginning of the story, the middle, and the end. So that depends on Daphne, can you just like explain your question? Print, what stories to print? If it's on a storyboard, of course you can print it. And what is your question about Scratch or about what? And Sarah, which one would work for kids? Scratch, no. Because the thing is, when you use Scratch, before using Scratch, you determine the story first. So you create the story, the characters and everything, and then you start, do the programming, putting the characters and everything. But it's not downloadable. No, you can't print it. I don't think so. Like I have created stuff on Scratch, but actually think whether I should do that or not. Another awesome thing is called ELLS. This is amazing. ELLS is by Carnegie Mellon University. I used it in 2009, and it's a storytelling ELLS, and it's amazing. So there's ELLS 3, which I think that's 3D. Like I like to use ELLS 2, not 3. And it's actually, I think both of them is in 3D. Scratch is much easier than ELLS because the characters are in 3D. So sometimes you get to choose the character, you want to move the character, but sometimes you might like displace the arm, or like everything is not connected actually. So Scratch is much easier. Students actually can upload their own pictures with different postures onto Scratch, and they can create stories about themselves, which is really cool. That's why I like Scratch better, but ELLS, of course, is also a very helpful tool. Okay. So let me just click. So maybe in the future, we may talk about assembling elements of digital stories. What are the effective Web 2.0 tools? What are other examples from research? Because actually, when research is published, we feel that, okay, there is a support that this would work, so let's do it, okay? And also we can explore more about other stuff. There were research about empowering student voices in terms of doing digital stories on Instagram. So the students would post a picture on Instagram, and then they would write the story itself as a post, and they would mimic Instagram influencers. So they would write a story about something, okay? And like, let's say fashion, for example, and they would follow, or they would look for influencers who write about fashion. So maybe they would write a story about a little girl who was fascinated with fashion and things of the sort, and what were the obstacles. And then they would examine the hashtags used by those influencers, and then they would use similar or the same hashtags. The thing is, when they use those hashtags, this means that other people outside of the classroom will see their stories. So the students will get feedback from their peers, and also feedback from others. And this was the purpose of doing this study, is how to bring the voices, or to empower students' voices, and at the same time treat them how to accept criticism. So there are lots of things that are related to digital storytelling, and it's really an interesting topics. So I'd like to hear your questions. Any questions? Hello? Any questions about digital storytelling?
Amani, maybe now is a good time just to give a brief announcement. Oh wait, you are getting some questions. Let's hear.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I missed Sarah Miller's question. Do you think this works only for kids, or would adults like it too? I think everybody likes it. Sometimes adults feel like it's really hard for them. You know, kids like to play with stuff. I tried Scratch with some of my students actually, and some of them were so excited about it. Others were not. Others who, like, maybe I don't know. I don't want to talk about age. Maybe they're I don't know. Maybe they think that they're too old enough for something like that. But I've seen adults like it, especially when you tell them that this is for your improvement. I just want you to create stories. Now you are digital storytellers. Or today, like when I ask my students to start their own blog, for example, in writing classes, I tell them, today you're going to be bloggers. So I try to motivate them. Today you're going to be movie makers or programmers, for example. And I actually don't ask them to do something as the example that I asked you. Just put the backdrop, put bubble conversation bubbles, two characters. They just fill out the the place where they talk together, and that's it. Or maybe you record your voice. So I don't ask them for more complicated stuff. However, children, they know how to to do things, and they are amazing. They're really amazing.
Okay. Hello, can I ask a question? Hi.
Yeah, yes.
What is the site that you recommend for like the small, like elementary students that would be, that are maybe low level ESL, like beginning learners would be the easier for them, they could start with?
Well, to tell you the truth, you can use Prezi. I wanted to say Toontastic.
What is it called? Sorry, what is it called?
Prezi, Prezi.
Okay, thank you.
It's the one that I'm using now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's like or PowerPoint. There's also Toontastic, but that's on the mobile phone.
Right.
On the mobile phone, they can also start to do it. It's very easy, and kids nowadays, they can just do anything. But I think Prezi is very basic, and they can do it.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Shadow Puppet. Oh. Or Adobe, yeah, Adobe Spark. Yeah, yes, yeah. That's also, yeah, that's also interesting and very powerful. Adobe Spark.
Have you ever done a digital book fair of the students' digital story boards or story?
No. Well, I just do it for task-based purposes, but I've never done that because basically it's like a movie. It's like a movie. Yeah, Animoto and Powtoons. Yeah. The net. Animoto and also Powtoons are very powerful. The thing is, there are lots of tools out there, and it's hard to remember all of them. Yeah. So Animoto and also Powtoons, POW. Book creator. Okay, some considered more an ebook creator. Yeah. It's interesting. So what was it? Okay. Any other questions? So I think Chris and Christine, I think it's time now to.
Okay, well, Chris has access to the slides, but I was
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Sorry.
No, okay, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Chris is getting this up, I'm just going to remind everyone that there's a June 15th deadline for you as teachers to submit your students' digital stories. And so there's a time limit just to kind of make it manageable. It's a 5-minute time limit. And this year we're doing the theme of I Love New York, particularly how you have kind of survived or your students have survived the COVID pandemic. They get $100, which is a really nice award. And there will be basically different categories. Can you go to the next slide, Chris? So it's basically in blocks. So you can see it goes 4 to 5th grade, 4 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. I saw that someone was teaching 1st grade, and I'm sure that 1st grade is fine too. I don't think it's meant to exclude the younger grades, but these are the grade levels. You can also do for adults, as you see. So basically, you go to the website. I'll put the link in the chat box, and there's a gold box where you can submit your students' essays. Not essays, sorry. There's digital stories. Just keep in mind that June 15th deadline. So it's a nice opportunity to kind of take what we've been discussing and apply it to your students. Okay, Thanks, guys.
Chris, there's also
Right. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So we also want to announce the summer intensive workshops that we're thinking about. We wanted to move beyond just having webinars and start to have interactive, co-generative experiences, spaces where teachers are sharing their tech issues and getting hands-on training. So instead of having everyone watch, we would have people, submit projects or like work on projects together. We would want to invite instructional designers, as we say here. We'll provide teachers with time and space for learning, and we want to think about what we're doing to prepare for the fall, where some of us may be able to start returning to the classroom, while some of us might not be returning to the classroom. So we want to think about, this is a kind of good time for that. When we discussed this inside the SIG meeting, we talked about having hands-on virtual workshops that could focus on learning management systems, things like Google Suite, or digital tools for teaching writing, etc. Flipped learning, digital tools for enhancing grammar, using augmented reality or virtual reality in the classroom. Having formats that are more like a world cafe, where everyone is in a breakout room and you're working on a standard set of questions that the host have provided, or even a campfire session where someone might give a short talk, and then someone might give a shorter talk, and then have everybody else contribute or facilitate like a larger discussion. So in order for us to be able to do this and plan for the summer, we have a survey available to you. You can use your phone right now to access the QR code by just kind of pointing your phone at the camera, pointing your phone at the screen, or you can go to the shortened URL bit.ly/tellusmore. And we will include this survey in future emails. So in a follow-up email to this, and then in another email. So I don't know, Amani, you have anything else you want to say about this?
About what? The summer? So can you move to the first line?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been thinking about workshops, and the workshops will actually span from beginners to experts. So it's going to be more of a tutorial. So it could be first. So it depends on your feedback, and it depends on what you want to see in the workshops. But of course, if you want something for beginners, we're glad. But the thing is, I didn't understand your question, Vivian. So could you please tell me what kind of workshops do you need for beginners? We're glad to do that, of course. So basically, the workshop can let's say something related to improving students' writing. So we're going to talk about digital tools. We're going to give examples. Actually, more than one person is supposed to present and talk about their experience. We can also bring teachers to talk about their experience using these tools, and they can also walk us through how these tools can be used, and how these tools can be used for beginners, especially even, or whether teachers as beginners or students as second language learners, they are maybe absolute beginners, for example. So I think that through your feedback, we can do better workshops for you. Some people are, Emma is saying that the link isn't working for her.
The second one in the chat works. The first one that was copied was incorrect. The second one works.
Oh.
Let me leave it on the screen. The one you see on the screen absolutely works. You don't need to worry about the HTTPS part. You can just start entering from Bitly.
Yeah. Also, the World Cafe or the campfire sessions, they can also help us and help you identify ways of how we can help you. So maybe we can find out that some teachers, they need to know more about this topic. So we can also do more, you know, sessions about this kind of topic, and so on. So, you know, we'd like to give more and, you know, work on what is better for all teachers and learners. And that's why we are trying to better our webinars and our workshops. And we came up with these ideas about the 7-week collaborative. So if you think also that you can participate in any of these collaborative online discussions, please go ahead and do that, and send us an email, or I think there's a place in the survey, right?
There is. Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
I have to reshare the screen to get to the survey, but I can do that. Hold on. Yeah, this is what the survey looks like. And so after we ask you some questions about you, like what kind of teacher do you, like what kind of educational context are you in? That's the first part. And then we go through a whole bunch of different types of things that we've talked about, like news sites and gamification and you know, digital storytelling, cultural practices, all those kinds of questions. And then we ask for, you know, general ideas that you might have, and then what particular areas you might be interested in. And then from there, based on answers to the survey, you'll get asked other questions. Like if you want to present something, we have a way for you to submit a particular idea. And then if you want to work with a specific person or a specific type of project like AR, VR, or something like that, it'll send you to the specific area inside the survey. So that's just basically how the survey works.
Yeah.
So that's it from the announcement. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Okay.
Thank you, Amani.
You're welcome. So any questions about the webinar or about the ideas that we were talking about now? Like, we'd love to hear from you. Any suggestions?
I like the topics which you indicated in that overview just before. I like them very much, and I will definitely participate if you organize that. And I think it will help me a lot because it's the latest that is around in teaching, and I'm sure there are others who may feel the same way.
Which one? I'm sorry, which one?
You had this overview here, and there were topic suggestions.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to say is I like them all.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
So whatever you come up with, I will be there.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I included AR and VR because while I was teaching during, you know, the remote learning, I found some of my students, actually, they were crying. I teach adult students, and they said while they were writing about themselves that we cry every day because we can't go back to our country. And this really made me sad. And then I told him, okay, let me take you for 15 minutes to Mozilla Hub. It's a VR platform. And it integrates Zoom, and they were really excited. Like they really felt that they are outside, because actually the class was in an island, in a virtual island, and actually they were running after each other. Like they were like, they felt freedom. So you know, I felt like, why not include the VR, and especially platforms that does not require very expensive headsets. And maybe we can choose other rooms, like in Mozilla Hub, that you can choose your own room, something first that is familiar to students, like a classroom, and then maybe you can bring them onto an island, or maybe a fancy place, space, or sci-fi, I don't know. And they were really excited about this, and it was really fruitful, because those 15 minutes, they made a difference. And also when they came back to class, so I told them this would be a break. Let me take you to Mozilla Hub. I took a few students to Engage platform. Some of them also were on AltSpace VR, which offers lots of free classes there, different things. So I taught them how to do it. So yeah, so there are lots of, you know, gamification like Kahoot, AI, artificial intelligence. You know, you have like, you know, there are lots of things that we are trying to offer because we are, you know, our students, they are into technology, and so we are.
Yeah.
You know, so we are. So we need to motivate them, and we need to do something that they love to do. And we need to explore, okay, are these good for our students? That's why we also need to introduce the design thinking projects, how to understand teachers' needs and how to understand students' needs, and how to come up with something that makes us all comfortable while we're doing it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Now, I enjoyed the session very much with you, and it gave me some nice ideas of websites where I can find more. And yeah, I will definitely use that in the future.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad to have you today. And I hope that we can talk more about other and more fruitful ideas in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'll be waiting if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, this is Anna Martorell.
Yeah, hi,
yes,
Anna.
hi. I'm sorry I couldn't join you with the face, but I think we exchanged some email.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And I was very interested in this group. I have been in contact with Christopher too. I have participated, but I'm kind of a little behind because I was in the hospital with the COVID-19.
Oh.
But now I am, you know, like I came out 2 days ago. So I'm recovering, but haven't been able to sort of like go back in one, you know, like keep up because I'm taking care of different things. But just to say, I'm happy to see this because I have a computer science degree, and it's amazing how much of the technology and that we can use all this data to build different things. And to what I just finished was with the Tesla program, which is to teach adults. And in a way, that's what we are also teaching each other, because I'm not in the field, in the technical field for many days. I used to be a data scientist. But now, you know, with all diversity of everybody have to use the computers, sit there. Yeah, but thank you for, you know, you all guys that seems to are doing great.
Yeah, thank you so much, and glad you have recovered.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
I can't go and say hi anymore until like a few days. They give you 14 days.
I hope you get well soon.
Thank you. Be careful because the virus is out there, believe me.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. I hope you stay.
Oh, so I was going to say, it's exciting that you do computer science stuff. You know, I mean, when we do the summer workshops, we're going to want a lot of people to participate in any way that they can. So any expertise that people can bring is good.
Yeah,
you know.
that would be great. Yeah. We all can learn because, you know, I was doing something on data science lately, like a boot camp, you know, to code with the Java and Python, which is the basic things that you take.
Oh, so you should be my friend. I'm doing artificial intelligence, and I have to finish first JavaScript. The summer JavaScript 2, and then I will start doing Python and.
You know, you should join Women Who Code, New York City, Are you aware of that organization?
Yeah, I know the organization.
And but are you a computer science degree too? You have?
No, I'm doing instructional technology and media at Columbia University. And my research is related to chatbots in second language learning, and I design chatbots. So I have to learn Python. So that's
Are you in your first year or?
No, I'm finishing my MA degree.
Oh wow! Yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk some place some other time. That's very interesting because I was participating in a conference today from Polytechnic University NYU. That's where I went for my undergraduate, and they actually have it, the AI and the human capital, and how all this is going to happen. You know, how to teach, how to learn, and it was very. They sent me anyway. This is very excited. We can do as a group so much. So the summer is gonna be very good for everybody. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. It's the whole prospect seems very exciting. I mean, we'll see what people are looking for and what's gonna happen. I mean, I don't know anything about coding, but
don't worry, that's like right there. I'm learning again. You know, I'm learning, and you know something very interesting with the Tesla program that I graduated, the one offered by LAC for the adults, is that I discovered through the past year that, you know what, it doesn't matter how old you are not gonna learn like my little nephew who is 7, 8, and they take with their little hands and they move right away, but we learn in a different way. And I think having this system, this support of such an organization, it's amazing. We are gonna do it. What do you think, guys? Everybody, yes or no?
Yeah, sure.
Please say yes.
Absolutely. No, of course. It's great news.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'll put the recording on YouTube. As I'm going to make sure, you know, when the meeting is over, it'll automatically load to my computer.
Yeah.
And then I'll send you a copy, and then I'll send it to Haojie, right?
To who? I don't know.
Haojie usually puts them on the NYST salt. I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So
great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
So anybody have any questions or? Okay. So have a great day.
I just have one more question. Can we see this webinar again? Is it recorded and the slides?
Yes. Yeah. It's recorded. That's gonna be on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're
It was
welcome.
interesting. We just needed more time to watch it again.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Bye,
you so
guys.
much. Have a great day.
You.
Bye.
Be well, everybody.